moment to prepare yourself.
Imagine you are in such unbearable pain that you can't even cry. Your life was well lived all those years, but now there is no way you can even function without assistance from someone. You think and feel as though your life has no meaning anymore. Although your friends and family are there to support you through every step of the way, you begin to think, could ending my life be the answer to all this pain? Well, this doesn't have to be something that we imagine, because this is a real life situation for many people, especially those who have terminal diseases. These people should be able to make their own choices as well as have control over their own life. Euthanasia might be the answer to these people's problems. Euthanasia is defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary as the act or practice of killing or permitting the death of hopelessly sick or injured individuals in a relatively painless way for reasons of mercy. Euthanasia also has a Greek term meaning good death. One form of euthanasia that is common is called active euthanasia. Many of you have probably heard this called physician-assisted suicide. What active euthanasia is when a physician administers lethal drugs to essentially put the patient to death. And then another form of euthanasia is passive euthanasia, which is a more natural way of death where the professional withdraws either the medical procedures or the treatments from the patient to let them have a natural death. So euthanasia should be legalized for those who have terminal diseases like brain cancer. Also because all the medical expenses and the bills that the terminally ill patient as well as their family could just accumulate, they can just be overbearing. And a terminal disease is emotionally draining for the family as well as the patient. So euthanasia should be legalized for patients with terminally ill diseases because everyone should have the right to choose if they live or die. A terminally ill patient shouldn't have to live the life that they don't want to live and continue to suffer. In this society, you can take your dog to the vet and have him put to sleep when he's suffering, but a human just has to suffer through it. According to Penny Lewis from the British Broadcasting Communications News, euthanasia is legal in 5 states in the United States. One of these include Washington, California, Oregon, Virginia, and Montana. A terminally ill patient who is dying of brain cancer doesn't have the same value or style of life as the rest of us because they have to go to the hospital every now and then to be hooked up to machines, and that's just not a good way of life. And in the states where euthanasia is legalized, it's properly regulated. So this means that the patients have to be able to comply with the rules, and they have to go through tests to make sure that they're suitably defined and able to comply to either receive the passive or the active euthanasia. So now euthanasia should be legalized for the reason of all the medical bills and expenses that the patient can accumulate. The patient and the family can accumulate such overwhelming amounts of medical bills and expenses from all the hospital stays and the treatments and the procedures that they have. And the patient might just not even want these treatments or procedures, and they might think that euthanasia is the right thing for them. While the patient is in the hospital, they can rack up anywhere from thousands of dollars in medical bills. And these treatments only might just prolong their death. When the patient does pass, the medical bills are then passed on to the family members. Now, euthanasia should be legalized because terminal diseases are emotionally draining on the patient as well as the family. Taking care of a terminally ill patient or family member is very emotionally exhausting, and I know this from experience because I helped care for my grandmother before she passed. The stress of just watching someone just wither away is just draining. Also, a terminally ill patient who might just find out that they only have so long to live, or that they're at the end of their prognosis, can just make that person very depressed. So overall, the debate over euthanasia might be one that is never fully resolved due to all of the, or might not ever meet everyone's beliefs or values because it's so controversial. However, I still continue you to feel that passive euthanasia is ethical procedure because millions hope to die a natural death, but not everyone gets to. Passive euthanasia is the opportunity for terminally ill patients to die their natural death. The option of passive euthanasia in no way forces individuals to choose the path for these people who can't even eat on their own. Unless passive euthanasia suddenly does not require the permission of patients to sign for this, then I feel like it would continue to be an option for death. So just try to put yourself as a terminally ill patient suffering through life in pain. So what choice would you make?
Questions? May I ask you a question? And you can choose to not answer this if you don't want to. Would you talked about your grandmother? Would she have wanted to go through this?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
This is a pretty deep topic. Why would you pick this?
Well, I've written a paper on it, so it was kind of easier because I knew some of the information, so I just kind of put some of that in my paper. So I guess that's why I really, not really because I feel any certain way, but it was just easier.
Other questions?
One more.
Oh, go ahead.
I'm sure you've done a ton of research on it, so I was just kind of curious if there was a cost amount versus, say you have someone that's terminally ill, the cost amount for the days lived once they've been diagnosed till if they was just to die a natural death versus how much money the country would, save if they was allowed to do legal suicide. I just curious if you found any information like that.
So no, I haven't really dug into it that much, I guess, because I just kind of saw some numbers of what it would cost for a patient, treatments for cancer treatments and stuff, and they were pretty thousands of dollars, really. It's just kind of crazy. And if they have to continue taking that, each treatment might cost $1,000 per treatment or more, and if they would just continue taking that for so many months or whatever, then that just adds up compared to. But I have, like you said, I haven't really dug into the cost analysis.
I'm sorry, 2 minutes expired. Let me ask you this.